Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video. I'm just coming off the backbone of one of the greatest weeks of my life. On Saturday I turned 18 and on Wednesday the 12th of November I went to WWE live in Newcastle. It was at the Newcastle Metro Radio Arena and I have been buzzing to do a video about the whole trip because it is possibly one of the best days of my life. It certainly was one of the best weeks of my life this week, and I've been really looking forward to doing a video and telling you everything that happened on the Wednesday when I went to WWE Newcastle. So a few months ago, I ordered my ticket. There was a bit of a trouble ordering the ticket. Basically, the UK, whenever they go on tour, they always go on sale at 9 o'clock on a Friday. I woke up 2 minutes before 9 o'clock, which was a bit of a problem. I logged on, and I couldn't seem to find where to order the ticket. It wasn't really on there yet. You couldn't find it on WWE.com. And then later, I found out you actually had to go on to Ticketmaster and directly log in on Ticketmaster rather than doing it on WWE.com. By the time I'd done that, I only managed to get row G tickets. So that's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's 7 rows behind. It was my first time going on ground seats on the floor. I'm usually in the terraces. I've been twice before. This is my 3rd time, and it was my first time trying seating on the floor. And if I'm going to tell you what I thought of it, honestly, there's loads of kids sat on the top of the chair. You see this bit here? They sit on that so you can't see. And you don't want to be like, hey, don't do that, because then if they're sat on the seat like normal people do, then they're not going to see anything. But if they sit there, you can't see anything. So I didn't really know what to do. There was loads of people behind me complaining about it. There's not a lot you can do because they're just going to moan if they can't see. And you're going to moan if you can't see. I mean, you can't do anything. I mean, I just tried to forget about it. But I thought it was cool that I was really close to the action. I got my ticket a few weeks ago and I headed to WWE Newcastle on Wednesday. The first epic thing that happened was I checked my Twitter on the train going to Newcastle from Darlington, where I was at college. I only have one lesson on Wednesday, so as soon as the lesson finished, I went on the train to Newcastle straight after, checked my Twitter, and I got a tweet from my network saying my channel was back. I was wearing my Tom Cushnie t-shirt with youtube.com/Tom Cushnie, and to find out I now had my channel back on the day I was going to be advertising my channel was freaking awesome. It was so great. I got my channel back on the day I was going to WWE. I mean, how freaking awesome is that? Wow, that made me really cool. When I got to Newcastle, I went to WH Smith's where the Usos were going to be doing a signing later on in the day. So around 1 o'clock, I got to WH Smith's and I bought the 30 Years of WrestleMania book. Now, the Usos were going to be doing a 30 Years of WrestleMania book signing later on in the day. So we had to buy this book, which cost £17. On Amazon, it's £10. So it was a big rip-off. A very, very big rip-off. Basically, some marketing scheme. They brought in the Usos to sell the book. That was pretty much the story there. So I always bought this so I could go and meet the Usos. I didn't really care about the book. I probably want to sell it on Amazon now. Problem is, I can't send it back because I kept the cellophane on, and I didn't actually get it signed in the end, and I'll tell you later in the video why, and it's a pretty cool reason. £17 for that book, and what I got was the book for £17. I also got this signature sheet which I didn't get signed. I'll tell you why later. And I also got a receipt and this wristband, and this wristband let me into the signing. It says admit 1. So I got into the signing with this. So put that there. I put it on. Went to McDonald's. And then queued up at about 2 o'clock. The signing was at 4 o'clock. So I had a 2-hour wait to meet the Usos. And it was worth it. Because this was the first signing I'd ever been to. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was really excited. I wanted to get in the queue. I was probably like 20 people behind. There was in total 400 people went to the signing. Which is a fair amount of people. 400 people that got ripped off. £17, by the way. So I went into the signing. I said to them, I thought your match with the Wyatts was great. And they said, cheers. And I was like, yeah, the Money in the Bank match was great. And they were like, Battleground. And I was like, no Money in the Bank. And they were like, Battleground. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Now, they actually had a match at Money in the Bank and Battleground, so I don't know why they were a bit weird about that. I was like, you had a great match against the Wyatts, and then they were like, at Battleground? I was like, oh, Money in the Bank, because I didn't realise they had a match at Battleground. I'd kind of forgotten, and they were a bit weird about that. I was like, oh, alright then, okay. You obviously didn't like the one at Money in the Bank, even though I thought that one was probably better. I forgot they had a match at Battleground. Probably a shit thing to say. I didn't really know what to say to them. I mean, they're not like my favourites, but they're really cool guys. Really great characters, on-screen characters. A lot of people like them. I do like them. I just didn't really have anything specific to say. I just wanted to get the signing, get a photo, and get out there. And that was pretty much that. On screen now is the photo I got from meeting the Usos. Now, I went on my own, so I had to ask the person behind me in the queue to take my photo. He did a pretty good job of the photo, as you can see. Now, the signing was actually for the book, but as you know, they do lots of signings over in the country when they come to the UK, and this was the only signing they did all week, which was for this book. So I thought, wow, that's a bit of a big disappointment. I don't want the book signing, I want something else signing, because they only announced it was going to be a book signing a few days before the signing, so I'd already ordered an Usos poster, which is in here, and a Tom Cushnie t-shirt to get signed. So I was disappointed. I was like, first I have to buy a book I don't want, and then I have to get it signed, and I've wasted money buying this. But what was great was, when I was in the queue, the woman that we worked at W.H. Smith's where the signing was happening she said, aren't you going to get out your book? And I was like, no. And there was actually a guy at the desk meeting the Usos at that point, and he was getting 2 Uso figures signed. So I was like, surely if he's getting his Usos figures signed, I can get my other stuff signed. Now, I was kind of expecting them maybe to sign one thing. I would have preferred them to sign the Usos poster, but pretty much, I walked up, gave my camera to the person stood behind me, they took my picture, gave them the stuff, and they just signed it. And I didn't want this signed because the Usos aren't in this book. There's a chance I could still take it back, and I didn't want the book. So, why would I want that signed? I can't display it on my collection, but I can display, look at this guys, they signed this, and I was really surprised they would sign anything. I didn't expect them to sign anything that wasn't the book. Never mind signed 2 things and let me have a photo, which I thought was fucking awesome. So look at this guys. Jimmy, no, that's Jay and that's Jimmy, obviously. So every time I go from a signing from now on, I'm actually going to get this signed, and I'm going to kind of work this up so I can get it absolutely covered in signings from superstars and divas. I think that's a great idea. So my brother gave me that idea. I was like, I don't know what to get signed. I kind of want a poster which says Tom Cushnie on it, and he was just like, get a t-shirt. And I did, and it was a great idea. So now I've got 2 signings, and I'm just going to build that up over the years. And I'm going to get it signed every time I meet a superstar. And I thought that was a great idea. And I didn't expect them to sign it, considering it was a book signing. But they did. Now, when I first found out the Usos were doing a signing at Newcastle, I actually ordered an Usos poster. And the only picture I could really think of that which would be great of the Usos was when they finally won the tag team titles in Chicago in March. I mean, that was the #1 career highlight for them. And I thought it would have been great to get that poster in a big size. I got it in 18 by 12 inches, so it's pretty freaking big. It cost me £7, but I think it's worth it. This is going to look great when it's framed on my thing. And what I thought was great about it was, they did it with a silver Sharpie. If they did it with a black Sharpie, you wouldn't have been able to see it. You'll be able to tell it when I show you right now. Look at that. They signed that. That looks absolutely awesome. There you go. The Usos signed that for me. I think it's a great picture as well. It looks great. Look at that. And that's going to go on my wall. I think that's fucking awesome. I honestly do. Put that away. I've ordered a frame already, and that's going to go up on my wall. And yeah, that was meeting the Usos, but obviously I still had the event to go to. Now, once I was in the line to meet the Usos, I actually got this. And it's a wrestling store in Newcastle. I'd actually been talking to the guy on Facebook the day before I went to Newcastle. So I saw these guys handing out flyers, and I was like, you know what? I bet that's for that wrestling store because it's a new wrestling store. And it was. So I was talking to the guy I was talking to on Facebook a few days before. We got chatting and stuff like that. And his friend who was with him, who was also handing out flyers, who was part of the business, he took me round to the shop and I had a look. There's a picture on the screen of the shop. It's in Newcastle. It's called Phil Nelson's Wrestling Store. It's 5 Old Eldon Square, Newcastle, NE1 7JG, near Starbucks and the Green. You can find them on Twitter at PN Wrestling and on Facebook PN Wrestling. So they have like so many figures from WWE, ECW, TNA. It's amazing, guys. You will love it. It's full of figures, full of signed memorabilia, belts, the lot, UFC t-shirts even. It was amazing. There you go. I said I was going to do a shout out. There you go. It was amazing. It was wow. I wanted to buy something, but I'm a cheapskate and I had no room in my bag. But I'm probably going to go there again and actually buy something with my birthday money now. Great shop. Then I headed to WWE Newcastle. Well, I got there at around 5 o'clock. The event starts at 7:30, so I was there 2.5 hours early. They opened the doors at 6 o'clock, and they opened the doors to go into the event at 6:30. So they opened the arena at 6, but you couldn't actually get your seat until 6:30 because they hadn't opened the arena. The actual doors, well, you could get into the merch, but you couldn't get into the doors beyond that. Here's my ticket. There you go. Block A, row G, seat 33, 7 rows behind. Already said you couldn't really see, but I thought it was great how close I was. Ziggler, Cesaro, they had a great match. Ziggler against Cesaro was a really, really good match. It ended with a super kick into a zigzag, and that was the opener. And I thought, wow, if we can get an opener like that, we're in for a good show. We got Adrian Neville coming out in a Newcastle shirt. Tyson Kidd came out in a Sunderland shirt, obviously the heel. And then you had Sami Zayn, and we were like, ole, 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 ole. We were chatting for Sami Zayn more than Adrian Neville at points, but that was a great match. That was one of the best matches on the show. Big match, which I was really into, was Sin Cara versus Fandango. I was really surprised how over Fandango was. We were going, duh, duh. Duh, 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 duh. And like, he was really over, but he had a really good match, and that was a great match. We also saw Dean Ambrose. Everybody was super into Dean Ambrose. The crowd popped for Dean Ambrose. That was great. Also, what I thought was cool was we saw Chris Jericho. My Y2J chants with the guy next to me were awesome. I was going, Y2J, Y2J, like the whole way through the match. But the thing was, people were going, let's go Wyatt, Y2J. And I was kind of deciding. At one point I was going, let's go Wyatt. Then I was going, Y2J, Y2J. And then I was going, Bray Wyatt, or whatever. I couldn't decide how I wanted to win. I wanted both to win. We saw Chris Jericho put Bray through a table. And then Kane came out. He attacked Jericho. And then Dean Ambrose made the save. It ended with Jericho, Ambrose in the ring, Bray Wyatt getting pinned by Jericho. It was great. Bray Wyatt's one of my guys. Thought it was epic how Chris Jericho, I thought I'd never see him in the UK. I thought I'd never see him in person ever. But I thought it was great how he was in the UK. I thought that was cool. The whole event was cool. Can't wait to go in May and April because, wait, it's actually in April. I've got the lists here. If you want to see when they're kind of in your area. There you go. I got that off the seat. Well, the seat in front of me because my seat didn't have one. There we go, it's focused. And so I'll be going on Thursday the 9th of April, and that's actually in the April holidays, the Easter holidays. So that'll be easy for me to go, and hopefully I can meet another superstar, add more stuff to my collection, and I cannot wait, because that was a great day. Awesome time meeting the Usos, a pretty good show. I think the first show I ever went to was the best, because you had Punk, AJ, Kane, Cena, Bryan. Way more better superstars. I think there was not that many superstars here because the likes of Cena, Rollins, etc. They were actually at a French house show on the same day, which I think is stupid to book the house show on the same day. So they kind of split them into 2 shows, and I think the France show got more of the superstars because they do less shows in France than they do in the UK. So they wanted more of the top stars in France for the... because they only had a small amount of shows in France, if you get me. The fact that they did about 10 in the UK, they're less likely to put on the top talents, if you know what I mean. But all in all, it was a great time, a great show. Hopefully you in fact enjoyed this video, a little talk about my trip to WWE Live at Newcastle. Thought it was a great time, can't wait to meet more superstars, get more stuff signed. I'm going to get both of these things framed. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, take care. This is my ticket. Spike your hair.